Lisa and I just got back from the Mayo Clinic late last night. It was a quick trip. We went out Sunday and back by Tuesday night. So we just had scans done, had blood work done, and then, of course, I met with the oncology team. Unfortunately for me, I have not met my regular oncologist for quite some time. I guess he's off to bigger and better things. He's now leading a research study group into a different type of cancer. So I've had different oncologists every time I've gone out there, but that's been interesting to me because they've confirmed what I've been feeling for years. None of this makes any sense. So what I mean by that is like an oncologist will come into the room, never meeting me before, take a look at my history, take a look at my treatments, and then take a look at me and think, you look way too healthy for going through what you're going through. None of it makes any sense. And it's not only been like new oncologists that have said that, but like even oncologists that have been in business for 30, 40 years just saying it just doesn't make any sense. And I completely agree with that. So this is the first time that I've had scans done since that really bad one back in April of 2026. So even at that point, when I made that video, I don't think I really talked about exactly what was going on. So let's kind of get into that a little bit. Over the years, I've had multiple issues with the right side of my lung. I've had a couple of wedge resections. Plus, we also did a lower lobectomy last year. So essentially, I'm working with half a lung on the right hand side of my body, which hasn't been that big of a deal. I don't really get that short of breath. Like the body's been able to overcome that. That last CT scan, though, showed some new tumor growth on the left side of the lung that I never had any issues with. So that was worrisome. Now, they were small, but there was a lot of them. Happy to report on this CT scan, some of them have completely disappeared and all of them have shrunk in size. So great news there. So all with the brain MRI showed everything that I was hoping it would show. Most importantly, no new brain lesions. In addition to that, like the actual surgery site, healing very nicely. Swelling's gone and everything's kind of looking like it's back to normal. The brain MRI also talked about this thing called Wallerian degeneration. I have a hard time saying that. But basically, it's all the side effects from that brain surgery that I'm having. It explains it all. So for me, like if I get up, it takes me a second to get up, but as I start walking around, I'll get tightness in this arm right here, where this arm will automatically lift up, and it takes a bit for me to like be able to tell my arm to get lowered. Also, whenever I'm walking, I've got a foot drop, so that can make walking up and down steps kind of hard. In addition to that, if I overdo it, for instance, the other day, whenever we were at the Mayo Clinic, we decided to choose her hard and we walked around Rochester, Minnesota. We walked 6 miles that day. To the end of the day, I was completely exhausted. Had a real hard time walking because I overdid it. Also went to bed before it got dark out. Like that was very tiresome to me. But another concerning thing we found on that CT scan from back in April, and I'm going to butcher this because I don't know too much about it, but peritoneal carcinomatosis. So basically, what that is like those cancer tumors can break away from the actual like organ, so they can break away from the liver and just kind of like float around in the abdomen. And then those cells can kind of like get together and they form like these nodules. And then those nodules don't allow fluids to escape from the abdomen. So you'll have an excess buildup of fluids in the abdomen. And that fluid will then push on your lungs, making it hard to breathe. It also pushes on the stomach, which makes it hard to eat. So that's why cancer patients, they'll eat one or two bites of food and then not be able to eat anymore because they have this intense pressure on the stomach. And that's why they lose a lot of weight. So I started to see some of that. So there was what they called a massive conglomerate of these nodules from back in April. So whenever that fluid builds up, then in order to get rid of it, they have to stick a needle in you and just drain that fluid out every once in a while. But I hear it can be absolutely horrible. So this most recent CT scan that we found didn't show any shrinkage, but it didn't show any growth either. So it's stable. So the chemo is keeping that in check. I also had a spot on the spleen. So back in April, the tumor on the spleen was measuring to 1.3 centimeter. And this current CT scan showed that it got reduced down to a 9 millimeter. So making progress there. All right, last but not least, let's talk about the liver. So back in April, that's whenever they said, hey, you've got 30 different lesions on the liver. Now, the new CT scan doesn't actually count the lesions. There's still a lot of them, but we have seen some reduction in their sizes. So the biggest one was a 2.6, and it's been reduced down to a 2.3. The second largest one was 1.7, and that's been reduced down to a 1.4. So again, mild reduction, but we're taking a step in the right direction for sure. So to summarize, it's still bad, but it's getting better. The tumors in the liver are starting to shrink. The fluid in the abdomen is pretty much stabilized, not getting any bigger. The tumors in the lungs are disappearing. The brain looks fantastic where the surgery took place. And most importantly, I feel good. So I still have to laugh whenever the doctors say, hey, you shouldn't feel as good as what you do based on what we can see. I know mentally and spiritually I'm winning this battle. Guys, I just want to thank you for all the prayers and support that you guys have given me over the years. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button on this YouTube video. I think we're doing a lot of good with those live streams that we're doing where we're showcasing other people's battles, helping people get into the hard times. So appreciate all of that. Thank you so much.